Story 1. The Thing in the Vents. When I first moved into my apartment, I noticed the vents made weird noises at night. At first, I assumed it was the pipes or old air ducts creaking, but then the noises started sounding less like creaks and more like whispers. The first night I heard it, I was lying in bed around 2 a.m. A faint dragging sound echoed from the vent above me, followed by what sounded like breathing. I laughed nervously, told myself I was imagining it, and went to sleep. But each night, it grew louder. The sounds were deliberate now, scratching, tapping, sometimes even a low chuckle. I finally asked my landlord if maybe animals were getting into the vents. He looked at me strangely and said, "The building doesn't have any ventilation, just decorative covers." That made no sense. I'd been hearing it every night. The next evening, I unscrewed the vent above my bed with a flashlight. It was just an empty wall cavity, dark and narrow. I exhaled in relief until I saw something deep inside. Eyes. Reflective. Watching me. I dropped the flashlight and stumbled back. When I picked it up again, the eyes were gone. That night, I locked myself in my room and tried to sleep. But at 3 a.m., I woke up to a soft voice hissing right by my ear. "Stop looking at me." Story 2. The Stranger in the Window. I grew up in a rural area where houses were far apart and nights were dark and quiet. One summer, I was staying up late playing games in the living room. The only light came from the TV, and the big front window was wide open. At some point, I felt like I wasn't alone. I brushed it off until I noticed movement outside, the faint outline of someone standing in the yard, just watching. I froze. My parents were asleep upstairs. The figure didn't move closer. They just stood there. I turned on a lamp to get a better look, but as soon as the light came on, the figure vanished. I told myself it was my imagination, maybe a tree shadow, and went to bed. The next night, it happened again. Same time, same spot. Except this time, when I leaned closer to the window, I saw it more clearly. A man, smiling. I panicked, ran upstairs, woke my dad. By the time he came down, no one was there. For weeks, it kept happening. Always at night. Always the same spot. My parents thought I was dreaming. Until one morning, when my mom went to water the plants by the window. She screamed. In the dirt outside were dozens of muddy footprints, all facing the glass. Story 3. The Room That Doesn't Exist. When I was in college, I worked as a night janitor at a hospital. Most of the shifts were quiet. Empty halls, flickering lights, the occasional patient wheeling by. One night, while mopping the third floor, I noticed a door I'd never seen before. It was labeled Room 313. That was strange because our floor only went up to 312. I tried the handle. It opened easily. Inside was a dim, windowless room with a single bed and an old IV stand. The sheets looked used, and I swear I smelled something metallic, like blood. I reported it to my supervisor the next day, but he frowned and said, "There is no Room 313, that door doesn't exist." I thought maybe I'd been overtired. But when I went back that night, the door was still there. I stepped inside again. This time the bed was occupied. A pale man was lying there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Before I could speak, his head snapped toward me. He whispered, "Don't tell them I'm here." I bolted out, slammed the door, and didn't stop running until I reached the main lobby. The next morning, I went back with security. The door was gone, just a blank stretch of wall where Room 313 had been. But sometimes, when I pass that hallway alone, I still hear the whisper, "Don't tell them."